Hello, 325 students. I just wanted to say hello and catch you up a little bit on what's going on, and hopefully you're navigating the course okay. Based on the assignments and incoming work, you're grasping the concepts fairly well. But I wanted to just touch on a few things. So for Module 4, we had some readings which discussed you're responsible for the memo so far have been pretty good. And hopefully the comments that I'm giving you on the memos are helpful. And you can always email me if you're not understanding some of the comments that I put on there. If it's not, the wording's not precise enough, or something could be rephrased to sound better, those kind of things. But feel free to email me and you can revise again. I encourage you to revise if you want, if you're not satisfied with the first product. So on pages 176 and 180, it talks about in the Business Writer's Handbook. There's a discussion on emails, and some of this you're already professionals and you're working. You have quite a bit of experience based on your looking at your resumes, and so some of this is you already know, because when you're sending emails back and forth, correspondences, you have to be careful with your spelling, your grammar, and making sure that you're not sending something sloppily written, because this becomes a record in the with HR or whoever you're sending it to, the supervisor. They might send it elsewhere. You just don't know. So it's best to just make sure it's a nice, clean, polished email that you're sending. You want to avoid some of the things they touch on in the book are you want to avoid abbreviations and emoticons. Unless it's somebody like like a colleague, a close friend of yours, and you just want to send a happy face, something like that. But usually, if this is a professional message, a letter that you're sending somebody, then you have to avoid those things. Oftentimes you might attach a cover letter, or and so you want to make sure that they're aware that there's an attachment. Avoid all caps or lowercase. You always want to make sure, obviously, I is capitalized. And if you're not sure if something's capitalized or not, you definitely should look it up. So those are important. And if you never want to use all caps to express emotion, so you shouldn't be doing that. And that goes for texting as well. And then you always want to sign your email. So sincerely, with regards, just in a nice way. And or take care, have a nice day, just something polite. And then send a courtesy response. You want to if you need more time, you don't want them to think that you're just not responding back to them. If they reply to you and you're not responding, say it's something you need to mull over and you just want a little time. You want to keep the communication open between you two, because we all have short memories for sure. And then let's see. You want to avoid using, quotations, proverbs, any kind of religious kind of stuff, or something that's popular in our culture. It's just something that could be divisive, something that might be offensive to somebody. You're not sure. So you want to just avoid that. You're just stating, your point, your purpose in a polite and professional manner. And that's it. You want to avoid those other things. Then it looks like, yeah, there's a little bit on text messaging, and it's similar to emails in terms of ensuring that you're professional in your correspondence. You want to make sure that you're not, using the right punctuation. Make sure something doesn't autocorrect to something inappropriate. You want to ensure that you're also whatever you're sending is the right thing. So you don't want to, send videos or recordings of something that it's, maybe it's your child's song they sang to you for your birthday, or you just never know. So you have to be very careful when you're sending something through text. And remember, these things get saved as well. So, whatever you're sending could be sent somewhere else in the company or to a few different people. So you just have to make sure what you're sending is appropriate. And you might want to just err on the side of caution. If you're just not sure about texting, I would opt for email. I think email is might be your best bet most times. Let's see. So then for cover letters, which you're working on, which is on page 124 and 125, it looks like there's some really good examples of cover letters. I mean, there's so many, and I know it's an excellent way to. I mean, you can read about how to write a cover letter, but when you see one, it makes sense. So you kind of want to look at as many models of cover letters as you can, just to get an idea. I will tell you that they're not long, and it's not a personal narrative. It is formulaic to a certain degree, which means you don't want to go off track. Sometimes we think, oh, if I share this or that, the more information I share about myself and my personal life, the better. But that could work against you. So that's why it's best to kind of stick to a formula when it comes to a cover letter. And again, all those things are important. Conciseness, knowing who your audience is, understanding in the cover letter for an application, understanding what the requirements of the job are so that you can respond to that. And it's interesting, but I think that the briefer you are, the better. So if you're including too much information and you're being redundant, or you're not selling yourself well enough, then I think it's said in the article for the module 4, the article in the Harvard. I don't know what the name of that article was. I'm sorry, but I do recall the author saying that the employer looks at it takes like 7 seconds. I don't know if they did studies on that. I think they did. Yeah. And so that's not a lot of time. So if they've got that, a stack of cover letters, and it's so competitive. So you want to make sure that just even the visual, just that first glimpse of your cover letter looks readable, neatly organized, and it's not too lengthy, So I think those things are really important. It's really persuasive piece, because you're selling yourself in the best way, in the quickest way possible. So, but the formula includes, and I'll actually share the screen and show you an example from that article, which is in module 4, by the way. So, you want to include context, which I said, you want to make sure you know what you're applying for, and you introduce yourself and discuss in the opening why you are interested in this particular position. So get right to the point. And then in your body paragraphs, you might talk about, now you're going to talk about why you're qualified for this particular position. So you could talk about your personal experience, and then in the next paragraph, you could talk about your educational experience, or vice versa, depending on which you think is more impressive. You might have more experience that would be applicable, where you're still working on a degree. So you don't want to play that up too much, because you still have, 2 years left of the degree. So you want to really emphasize your experience, then you would discuss that in the first body paragraph. And then you could always include an interesting aspect too. After you've gone over your experience, educational or other, you could include some other experience that you've had that's kind of unique that relates to this particular position. But you have to be careful with that. It has to be appropriate, and it should definitely be applicable. And it shouldn't be something that you start writing and you kind of get off track and and you ruminating a little too much, meandering. You don't want to do that. So if you think you're going to do that, then just exclude it. And let's see. All right, so why don't I do this? Why don't I share the screen with you and we'll go over, I'll just go quickly over a sample cover letter. Let me see, I'm going to stop the video just until I'm sharing with you. I want to make sure I have it up here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so here we are. And this is the example. Again, it's in module 4. If you click on the article that's there, and you how to write the perfect, I think it's how to write the perfect cover letter. There's 2 there. So and this one I just chose, no, because I thought it was a good example. So all right, so you're going to have your, obviously you're not going to you don't want to write sample cover, and you don't even want to write cover letter, right, on the heading, just in case. I'm sure you weren't planning on doing that, but I just want to make sure. Then you're going to have your date at the top, come down a couple spaces, and you're going to be you're not going to put your address. Sometimes what you can do, you can put your information if you wanted to, but in this case, we'll just follow this. So here we have who it's going to. And it's a really good idea to research and find out who you are sending this to, who is the supervisor that will be hiring you, who you'll be working under. So instead of just directing it to a general person, sometimes we have to, but if you can get around that, it's better to, it's better to do your homework and try to find out who it is exactly. And then, find out their title too. You don't want to put the wrong title. That's important as well. So this is senior manager. And then, this is the business. Make sure everything is spelled okay. And make sure it's all capitalized, because the name of the company is a proper noun, right? Then you have the address. There it is. Okay. And then you have your opening. You want to be professional. Dear Miss. Always go with, Miss. And her name is Carrie. Make sure the spelling is correct too. It's, easy to misspell somebody's last name. And as you can see, they get right to the point. So I'm writing to express my interest in the whatever position it is. Make sure you have the right position too, because you want to, that's where the job description should be right in front of you when you're writing your cover letter. Okay, so you have all the proper details. Interest in the sales associate position at Wholesale Wine USA. And then in parentheses, this is kind of some extra information that is important. So she puts it in here, listed on Crimson Careers, which I believe reports to you. So in this case, Georgina is not really sure if so she just wants to, if you're not sure, then you can use this kind of phrasing, which I believe reports to you. In other words, you want to make sure that you leave open the possibility that this isn't. If you're absolutely 100% sure, then you don't have to include that. But if you're still doubtful, then you could add that, and that would be fine. That's an appropriate way to phrase it. And so then Georgina goes on to talk about her experience. So she worked in this industry for nearly 8 years. Always good idea to make sure you don't just say I have extensive experience. You want to give, an exact number, like how many years, if it was only 6 months, then, and if it's only a year, then maybe you don't want to emphasize that too much. But in this case, it's 8 years. So you really want to emphasize it and mention it, right? So having worked in the industry for nearly 8 years, and because she says nearly, because it could, give or take, and they'll be able to see on the resume. So I now have a deep love and appreciation for wine and cuisine. For me, I feel like it should be deep appreciation. Well, I don't know about the love, but here it does, it's okay. I try to, encourage writers to avoid using, the love kind of words and really emotive type words that are, but in this case, it flows okay with her style and the tone. So sometimes it works. I now have a deep love and appreciation for wine and cuisine. At Shay's Pub and Wine Bar, nothing made me happier than speaking with customers about the perfect wine to pair with their orders. So you really get a sense of her, her voice comes through in this cover letter. And if you can do that, that's excellent, because they're not just looking for mechanics. They're looking to, all they have in front of them is your writing, your cover letter. So you want to try your best to make your voice come through, which Georgina has done successfully here. And then she even gives the result. You want to give examples of not just where you worked, but what you did. Right. So here it was a 25% increase in sales and 30% increase in repeat customers. So think about it. You might be thinking, shoot, I don't know what I've done really, but you probably, well, actually, based on your resumes, I don't think most of you don't have too much trouble in coming up with these examples. My experience at Aspen's award-winning Montagna allowed me to expand upon my knowledge of wine locally, inspired cuisine, and the high standards of service. So now she's talking further about her experience and how she expanded her knowledge and give some specifics on it. Our weekly blind tastings fueled my desire to further myself in this field. So she's able to talk about what inspired her and why she wanted to continue in just a few words, if you notice too. And I'm currently in the process. So now you also want to talk about, so what are you doing now? So I'm currently in the process of acquiring certification through both the Court of Masters Sommeliers and the Wine Spirit Education Trust. So all of this is very appropriate. And if you notice, these are very short, these paragraphs too. I also just returned from France. So here we have some interesting and also applicable information and experiences that would be really appealing to the employer. So in France, I worked on an organic vineyard in Beaujolais and was able to shadow the vigneron, sorry, I don't know if I'm saying that right, who ran the estate, the largest of its kind in the region. So all of these are big pluses. As Wholesale Wine USA begins to expand into international markets, I'm confident my knowledge of the French wine industry can help contribute to your company's growth and success. So she really ties that in, her experience in going to France. And you can tell that she did her homework and researched the company she's applying for. And now she can, apply her knowledge and her skills and make them understand why she would be a great asset for their company. And then at the very end of the practical points, I've attached my resume and I'm readily available via phone or email. Let them know how they can get in touch with you. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. So allow them, that courtesy. Thank you for your consideration. Always thank them for taking the time to review your credentials. And I look forward to hearing back from you. I would say, no exclamation point, but again, she's really come out, her voice has really pretty strong throughout, and it's so well composed that she could get away with that exclamation point there. Sincerely, and this is how you would sign it. And that's that. So hopefully that was helpful as you're writing your cover letters, or you want to maybe you want to go return to the one you wrote and make some changes. It's really an important piece that you that cover letter, because it's your, even before they see you or meet with you, it could mean the difference between getting a phone call for an interview or not. So it does make a difference. You want your passion to come through. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to cover for today and for now. And for the next module 5, which is all about ethics, I'll more than likely be, doing another video. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Again, I'm in the process of grading now, so I see quite a few, the resumes are coming in, and if you're not sure, I've tried to give as many tips as possible on some of them. So if you are not sure, again, the resume is so important as well. Just we could either meet via Zoom conference, or we can you could just email me the questions that way, and that's fine as well. All right, I hope you have a wonderful weekend and you get to enjoy some of this autumn weather and take a little break and do something relaxing. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.